Critics say Mr. James is using fear of Hispanic immigrants for political gain. He joins us now from Montgomery, Alabama. And Tim and James, I just wanted to ask, first of all, let me say I agree. I think that people should learn English. They should learn how to speak English. They should learn how to read English. I don't think there's any other way to make it in America. But the question in political terms is, are you pandering to anti-immigrant sentiments in order to try to advance what's been a very faltering political campaign?
Juan, good afternoon. Thank you for having me on the show. Of course, we're not pandering. We passed an English law, Juan, in Alabama in 1990, and it's as much a safety issue as anything else on the roadways. But where this really came from, and I will tell you that we filmed this 2 months ago before all the country had really focused on this. We were sitting around one day and some guys pointed out that we give our driver's license test in 12 languages. And my campaign, our brand, is about putting common sense back in government, in every aspect of it. And it struck me as odd and just so far from what makes sense. And we looked into it, and I looked at all the reasons, none of which hold up under scrutiny. And I came to the conclusion that this is nothing more than political correctness gone amok. And so, when you talk about putting common sense,
Tim James,
this was
look,
part of it.
I just don't think, and I think that your opponents also say that this is not a central issue of life in Alabama. And what you've got is a faltering political campaign. I think you're running 5th or 6th in the polls. And it looks like you're just exploiting this issue in a way that could stir up a lot of anti-immigrant feelings and racial division in the state.
No, we're not 5th or 6th in the polls. We're in the top 3. Has nothing to do with it. We are a nation of immigrants. One, I'm Irish. We have German Americans, Italian Americans, Russian Americans, people from all over the world. And language assimilation is integral to becoming and success in this country. And what's happening here is we've just made a point, a common sense point, and I have become under attack from the far, far left. Let me tell you something. We've seen Zogby polls where Latino Americans agree with me by a margin of about 75%. So this is not picking on anyone.
Well, now, but you've got here a situation where the 2 former governors of the state both decided, this is not necessary. We want to attract business to Alabama. We want people from all over the world coming to Alabama. You've got people building cars in Alabama, from overseas, from Germany and the like. They don't want to put any kind of hurdle in the way of people who are coming to Alabama so that they can get a driver's license and drive on your road safely and legally. So what's the problem, Tim?
Juan, that's the biggest argument. I've never heard more nonsense in my life. I'm a businessman. I'm really not a politician. I've spent a career building companies, and I can tell you that as a businessman, what business people want, what companies want, is they want workers that can communicate with each other. And when you have to play charades to communicate with people that work for you, it makes it hard. In fact, in this country, we have about $65 billion a year in lost wages.
But
American workers.
Tim, hold on. It just looks, I mean, I say this with feeling for you, and I know, you're trying to make this campaign work, but it looks like that it's an effort of a guy who is just grasping for straws and a publicity stunt to get attention for your campaign, and without regard for the political.
Well, that's just not true. As a matter of fact, when the ad started, I had 2 ladies walk up to me in a restaurant who work for the state licensing division, and they looked me in the eye and they said, you're exactly right. We work in the state troopers. We license them. This is a problem. It's common sense, Juan. Right. This is what we're trying to put back in government.
All right, I get your point. Good luck to you, Tim James. Thanks so much. Back in a moment with